Hey, Usi. Hi, Usi.
Hi, Uzi. Hi, Uzi.
Hey, Usi. It was a sad, sad time. Ish. Like, RIP to her career. I'm sorry. When you start centering men, your life just becomes depressing. Don't do that to yourself. It's a dark road, yeah. This is like the third time I'm shooting this video. The first time, yeah, you don't really need to know the details of it. Just know that, yeah, a lot of setbacks I had. My name is Usi William Kosana, and this is my channel. This is like a very new channel. I hope that we form a bond. Very soon. I hope that like this channel actually blows up and becomes something, not something that's innately popular, but something that a lot of people can relate to, and a lot of people can just we can connect in some sort of way. So the channel is a my perspective on life. It's my perspective on a lot of social issues, a lot of things that are happening currently in the world, and I hope that you are able to connect with me and my perspective, and you're also able to relate with your perspective. So today's video is based on being a pick me and the expenses that come with it. I think I'm most qualified to speak on it because I used to be a pick me. Yeah. So I think I could just give you more of a perspective and to show you, it's not just something that's afar, the call is coming from inside the house. Yeah. Okay, so before we start with anything, I'd like to, define it, give you a definition of it so that we can be able to, get the gist of it. I'm speaking on the perspective of a pick me girl rather than the pick me boy. I feel like the pick me boy just needs their own video and how negative it is on women, but for now I'm just speaking on the pick me girl and how negative it is for women. So the term pick me girl refers to women who alter their behavior to gain male approval, often at the expense of their own identity. This label, popularized on TikTok, can be damaging as it undermines self esteem and perpetuates gender stereotypes. Understanding the complexities of this term is crucial in promoting self worth and gender equality. She avoids salads, heavy makeup, and drama, opting instead for burgers, beer, and sports, claiming she's different from other girls. However, this behavior often masks as a desire for male attention, earning her the label pick me girl. The term pick me for me is a term that I am very, close with. I very much identify with because I used to be one. How it originates for me, I think it goes back to my childhood. I grew up in a very Christian household. I grew up in a very church forward, Christ centered household. And I think the reason why I became a pick me was because the strictness of how my mother raised me, in terms of not wanting me to experience a lot of things that the world had been promoting. I grew up coming from a very Christian household. So my mother was very strict in terms of what I could do and what I could not do. And in her strictness, she never allowed me to go out. So from the time I was born to about grade 11, I just was very like in my house a lot. I was very much a homebody, not because I didn't want to go outside, but because I didn't go outside. So a lot of things I was limited to a lot of things. What also worked against my favor is the fact that I went to an all-girls school. So that was also somewhat a very interesting part of my life. So romance in an all-girls school, or any type of school, in fact, is something that is very loved. A lot of things, it's very popularized, it's very suggested, everything is just pushed. Coming from a place where that is always pushed, you always want it, you always want the romance. Everybody's talking about, who they've dated, who they've kissed, and everything. So you, at some point, also want, that. But I'll speak about shows also. But I think that's what was being pushed. So in that being pushed, I always wanted it. I always dreamed of it. And I always just like was waiting for that moment to actually one day be in a relationship. But being so restricted in how I acted and how I did things, I think that impacted everything, you know? So grade 12, I started, being able to branch out and do other things. I was able to go to rugby games where I'd actually see boys everywhere, or like a variety of boys. I'm grateful actually that I got into seeing a lot of males in matric and not varsity, because I think that would have changed how I view things now and how I act. But luckily for me, I was able to do everything grade 12. Another thing that impacted me was the fact that because I didn't go out, the only thing that I had access to in terms of like social contrast constructs, sorry, and a lot of social views was television. As much as I did go to school, it wasn't all girls school, so I didn't get a lot of perspective and stuff. So I was just seeing a lot of how the world moves based on TV, based on music, So I think those shows are the reason why I eventually became a pick me. I'm class of 2023, so I'll just say maybe from 2013 is when we got like DSTV, I think. But from 2013 to about maybe 2022, I'd say TV was like the most I'd experienced out of life, So based on that, I think just watching certain TV shows, seeing certain movies, I think impacted how I viewed dating and everything. The movies that I think would have an impact on whether I was a pick me or not was two. There were two things I could note like in my mind. Number one was Mean Girls 2, and then the other one was The Cinderella Story. The one with Hilary Duff. Yeah, it was the one with Hilary Duff. So that one is the one that I can note where my pick me behavior kind of came from. Because at that time, if you remember, a lot of shows were kind of pushing this cool girl narrative where you could not just like, where it wasn't really, you didn't have to be like the girly girl to get a guy. You could be this different kind of person. At that time, I was mostly into like what people would consider boy stuff. And looking back at it right now, I think that was kind of weird of me to just think because I'm into conventionally boy stuff that would mean, but actually those boy stuff are things that every girl would actually be into, and every girl could just be into also. Things like, I give you an example in terms of like things like WWE, sports, a lot of sports. And at that point in my life, I think from 2013 until before like COVID, or like maybe 1 or 2 years before COVID, like we didn't, personally for me, I didn't have access to Disney Channel. So all I had was Disney XD, and Disney XD, if you'd actually check, was more catered to the male child like audience. So because I was so interested in those things, I just assumed, oh my gosh, it makes me like boyish in some sort of way. It was actually weird because I think it just, a lot of people just, oh my gosh, I'm different because I like this. And yeah, and because you're so different, it just makes you kind of weird to some people. But I also think that's just like weird to ever think of. But yeah, having access to like things like Disney XD and WWE, I think because other girls weren't into it and I was into it, I just saw myself as different because not everybody was into that. And it made me feel like I was different from every other girl because we didn't have the same things that we could talk about, I guess. So now when you see the cool girl thing being pushed in movies, I think that's when everything, for me personally, it changed. Because now the cool girl, the girl that wasn't interested in like really girly girl things like makeup or anything, I think I was now pushed that actually if you're a cool girl, guys could actually like you. And at that time, I don't think I was uninterested in makeup. I just think I didn't have access to it. And because I didn't have access to it, I just thought I'm different. which actually, now that I think back to it, it was very stupid. It was very stupid, but that's my origins in terms of being a pick me. And by the time I got into grade 12, I started, going to these rugby games and seeing from their perspective, the guys that I'd probably, interact with, I was not the preference. The preference would be other girls. So in my mind at that time, I was like, okay, so if I'm not the preference, then how can I make myself the preference? That's when the pick me behavior began. Okay, so now with all of that in mind, I think now my pick me behavior started getting worse because I started comparing myself with other people. What is so different about them? What makes me the one that's not chosen? So for me, as a person who's grown up in TV and everything, I grew up as an only child also. So I had my own perspective of everything. So when I'd look into the mirror, I didn't see any ugliness. I didn't see any weird things. If I took a photo, I'd just be like, oh my gosh, that's just the camera. It's not me. I'm beautiful. I'm this light. I'm just this gorgeous person. I saw myself as the hottest thing on the planet, and the realities of everything just kind of dropped, and I fell into a miserable pit once I got experience in terms of being around boys, because at that point in my life, I think the main thing to seem cool or to seem desirable or attractive was the fact that if you were able to get into a relationship or for a boy to like you. At that point, the narrative was like, guys like girls that are calm, that are very, cutesy, that are, dressed modestly, that are very soft, that are very, that are into sports. And I think that's what made me go into a lot of things. It was a very hectic time in my life. So I just started performing to get the approval of men. When I got into varsity, I think I just saw, wow, men over there. I said, But in seeing that, I also saw the fact that a lot of a lot of people who are my type weren't really attracted to me. So I started being like, okay, so if they're also not attracted to me, then what can I do to get, their attention? So I started performing. I remember cooking even for one guy, actually, no, giving him my last chicken piece. It was a tragic time of life because I liked the guy, and guys, I was stalking people. I was trying to, have them talk to me. That was my pick me journey, and I think it was so expensive. And the thing is, with the expense that it comes with, it's not only monetary, but it's non-monetary too. Because I've done the origins of my pick me journey and everything, I just want to share with you some disadvantages that came with, being a pick me and the expenses that come with it. Okay, so there are some monetary and there are some non-monetary expenses that come with being a pick me. The monetary expenses that come with being a pick me, I recognize you kind of lose a lot of money trying to be this perfect person based on like a perfect person who's male centered. Number one, you're trying to change your appearance, so the clothes that you wear, so things like that. Even food, I made rice and chicken for myself. Rice I could have, things that I could have eaten the next day, and I gave it to a man. It was a dark time. Those are the type of things that are expenses, you pay just to get the person's attention, and it never works. You're just throwing money down the drain. Those are some examples I'd have for monetary expenses that come with being a pick me. Now I'm gonna go to the non-monetary ones. Number one, for me, losing friends. Like being male-centered and always wanting attention, it could also drive you'd actually in your mind would like to drive the attention away from your friends because you see them as competition and you'd like the attention to be driven towards you. Luckily, I didn't get to lose a lot of friends because I wasn't a jerk while being a pick-me. I just had internalized competition, but externally I just didn't show it because I knew I'd lose. So I wrote these down, please. I have my tablets. The second one would be your personality. Your personality, you also lose it. When you're pick me, your personality is shaped around how you want a man to perceive you. I was a person that wasn't like, I would not describe myself as a very weird or crazy, but like my personality goes in that it's not unique, but it's a way. I just thought I needed to take my personality, change it so that it could suit whoever that person would be. So if a guy was like a rugby player, I'd just be a person that likes rugby and very analytical in terms of sports and everything like that. Music, rappers, I'd like have to know about this rapper and everything. And I think I lost a lot of personality because of that. Okay, another thing that I'd say is a disadvantage is the fact that feminism, you kind of try to disregard it in some sort of way. So around like 2020, earlier 2020, in the Taylor Swift era where she just put out The Man, and then J-Lo's I Ain't Your Mama. Those were the kinds of music that I was listening to. So at that time, I was a really, really big feminist that was like wanting change for women. And once I started like seeking male validation, I actually kind of tuned out everything that was feminist. So in terms of like feminism, I just cut it out. I was like, no, woman, if you are oh my gosh, it was crazy. I said, you know what, a job doesn't matter, I'll get a job, but like once I graduate, I think I just want a man to take care of me, and I don't mind being like a child wife kind of thing. I need a man to take care of me. I need to find a man that's going to, be the primary giver, and it's okay, I'll be the one that's in the kitchen, and even like recipes, I think I'd learn them just so that a man could just be like one day, oh my gosh, you're such a good cook. That if you're Christian and you're male centered, I think you need help, because that's going to actually impact how everything goes in your life. I got deep into Christianity because I was just wanting a husband. That was an expensive thing, because imagine if I died and now I don't have a relationship with God, and the only relationship I have with God is me acting a certain way just to get a man. That, hey, the thing is with being male centered, the Bible, you view it not as something that would change your life, but would transform you into being something that, that caters to a man. And I think a lot of people who are male centered would not question any part of the Bible. At this point in my life, I sometimes question the things that are in the Bible because they suit the patriarchy and pushing a narrative that women are essentially useless in the kingdom of God, and that they are only there to bear the children and take care of the household. I've seen women preach the word the way it's necessary to do so. And the biggest expense that comes with being a pick me is like the comparisons and the mental anguish that comes with it. Because you're comparing yourself with so many people, you deem yourself as ugly, you deem yourself as this person that's not really worthy of anything. It just makes you feel like you're unworthy. And the thing is, I had like access to like TikTok at that time, and I think that was the narrative being pushed, that because you're unattractive, you're not worthy of this type. I don't know what kind of thing I was watching, but that was kind of my For You page back in that time. A lot of even women were like, if you're unattractive, or if you're attracting this type of guy, you should like look at yourself and see if there's something wrong with you. And I was like, the people I'm attracting aren't cute, there must be something that's wrong with me. And it took the start of second year, for my friends to like knock some sense into me. And yeah, I'll always be grateful for them, because they just helped me in terms of that. But I stopped being male centered after that, and I think that the expenses are far too high. They are far too high. The expenses that come with being a pick me, and you actually don't want those expenses, because they do not benefit your life, but they benefit the life of another person. If God had a plan, or there was a plan for you in life, and essentially now you're stopping that plan just to follow some guy or follow the needs of somebody else. I think it's not really a great thing. There are three people that I'd actually like you to note of. There are two of them are Love Island, and the other one is just a person I know from TikTok. Season 7 of Love Island introduced us to a person named Alongia. Alongia was with a guy named Taylor, and eventually they fell out of love after, this process called Casa. If there are 6 boys and 6 girls, they'll take the 6 girls, put them in another house, and then they'll bring 6 boys for them, and then they'll bring 6 girls, for the boys. And yeah, essentially that broke them up. And then Taylor ended up picking Clarke, and their relationship started forming, and Orlandia, who was very popular amongst viewers, started, becoming their side character in terms of that relationship. Alondra ended up finding her person, which was Nick, but she was actually pursuing Taylor, and thought they had something special, but turns out Taylor didn't. And it essentially resulted in the I pick Clarke moment, where it was a bunch of questions and Taylor had this quote unquote very iconic moment where he was like, I pick Clarke, and that essentially became one of the trending things and became what followed Clarke. With the I pick Clarke thing, I think he thought it was iconic. A lot of people also thought it was iconic. I didn't think it was iconic. I thought it was rude, but yeah. So the I pick Clarke thing comes off of the Alondra hate. People pushed that because they didn't like Alondra. They profited off of that because people did not like Alondra. If you want to know the reason behind that, I think you can find it all over social media and all over YouTube. I don't think I'd ever touch on that, but I think I would. Maybe like a black girl, on Love Island. The thing I'd note, Clarke was seen as beautiful. Like, she was very gorgeous, and I will admit myself, she was very gorgeous. She is very gorgeous, actually. She's a very gorgeous human being. She's a gorgeous black woman. She was essentially liked because of her makeup and I think her wigs. I'm not really sure, but they really wanted a routine on that. I think Clarke was very popular in terms of that, but because of the I pick Clarke thing, she essentially didn't, really pursue anything because she was always following Taylor around. We find out beyond the villa, Clarke was planning on moving to LA, and she didn't actually go there because I think Taylor was trying to pursue being a vet and stuff. Essentially, she just didn't pursue the career, and I think she could have really made it. She could have been like a big influencer, not as big as Olandia, but I feel like she could have really made her mark. She actually admitted herself that I pick Clarke was really damaging. What made me side eye a lot of her actions is the fact that she really was going for the I pick Clarke thing. She was very excited, she loved it, but the I pick Clarke moment was just something that was bashing another black woman. So I think that's why she couldn't actually get to be popular or anything like that, because she also embraced the I pick Clarke moment, which I also think, embrace it, but don't make it your whole personality. And she really did make it her whole personality, and so did Taylor. I think that was very costly towards Clarke, and I think Clarke could have been something bigger if she just did not embrace it, and she shouldn't just have followed another man. Another person that we can note that actually might just follow that train that Clarke went into is Titi. Titi is a season 8 contestant of Love Island. She was also a Casa girl. There was another girl, Anaya, who was with Casey, but they kind of, separated after Casa. Anaya is now popular because she's with another guy. And I think it's always black women that are, and then it's always the black man, and but Titi and Casey kind of hit it off, and essentially I think Anaya was just embarrassed, and luckily Anaya got a chance to bring her man back, and that became something else. But yeah, they became like a couple, and They're a very nice couple. I also like Titi and Casey. I just don't like Casey. I like Titi. I don't like Casey. And I think the saddest part of Titi, I think she could have been big or, profited from it, but because she's so closely linked with Casey, and it would actually damage her career, because now every single time she makes an appearance, it's always TT and KC. It's no longer just TT. And I think somebody like Anaya and Orlandria did a good thing by separating themselves from the men. Yes, we do know that they are part of a couple, but they are not so closely linked with that couple that they need, to hold on to that couple. Whether they break up, whether they together, they still thrive. Clarke and Taylor actually broke up, and I don't think she gets any. There's no noise behind that because she doesn't really have core fans or a brand of some sort. And yeah, that's very costly. And I think it would just go. It will be the same thing for TD. Another person I think is cooking with, I don't know, Kyra, but her channel was based on like cooking. She's a cook, but she used her body as a way to attract more followers and stuff. I think she could have profited from it. I think she could have gotten a really big audience, because women also they like meals, they like new recipes, they like new things, to try new things. What cost her the ability to be able to get a lot of profit and everything was because it was so male centered, and the fact that she was like, I'm gonna take your man and stuff while she was cooking, because you're catering to men. Once they're done with you, you literally have nothing to fall back on. And I think that was one of her mistakes, and I think it was just detrimental for her. A lot of money is at stake, guys. You can actually gain so much of a career. I think she could have gotten brands. I think she could have. All of these three women would have gotten brands, would have gotten a lot of things, but because they are following a male gaze, and the male gaze that they're trying to attract is not a very good example of a man. Let me not say a male, a man. Men who are lustful, men who don't respect anybody or respect the woman that they're with. My phone switched off while I was saying this, but okay. I had to remove my bangles. I loved the click, 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 but also it doesn't sound great on the mic, so yeah. And I also added butterflies because I like purple, but I felt like it wasn't showing up in my whole room. Not everything in my room is purple, but you can see that I like purple based on my room. See, even my bottle, I had to put it here because I also wanted people to know that I like purple. And here's my tablet because I like purple. I noticed something about these women. These women essentially follow the type of men that really don't like them, They'd rather they are with them possibly to prove something, or to prove something to another man, usually. I really was hoping that these women actually would thrive beyond the male gaze, but I don't think they'll ever, grow out of that. Clarke will never grow out of the Taylor thing. He was going on his own career path and he was thriving at it. He's thriving at it. He's going to be a vet. But where does that leave Clarke? The only thing that not that it's the only thing, but something that could have just gained her a lot of popularity, and with popularity comes, some money. But essentially what could have just given her a great platform, she kind of botched that, and now we might just forget her. Ish. RIP to her career. I'm sorry. I think she can come up from that. I think she can. A lot of people's views can be swayed as long as she does something really, really iconic. But essentially, the man cheated on her and he was busy with other girls while she stayed with him and sacrificed her career. How's that fair? Titi and Casey are going strong. Granted, it's been a month since they got out of the villa, but I feel like it's going to take the same path. I think you can't really change a man like Casey. Hopefully he proves me wrong, but he's very red pill kind of like he's a red pill kind of guy. I don't think he really values the woman, because essentially when they got together and he made her his girlfriend, he was like, no, you've proved yourself as worthy to me. You see, with history has a thing of repeating itself, and we've seen the formula before and we know what's going to happen. We're not going to be shocked because we've seen it happen before. Cooking with Kaya. Cooking. That was catchy. Cooking with Kaya. Cooking with Kaya. I think when you cater to women, women are going to follow you. Women are going to buy your things. If you're catering to women, you actually will get a lot. I think that's why a lot of brands do target women whenever they, market. But when you're catering to women, you can literally like sell a rock. And if it benefits a woman, they'll buy it. What now? To the women that are male centered or pick me or identifies pick me's, I hope that you do find your healing journey as I did. It was very tough to get out of that. I hope that you find friends like the same way I did. Sorry. I hope that you find friends like I did that will snap you out of being male centered. I feel as though with those kinds of friends, I essentially started feeling worthy. Start doing things for yourself. Don't do, you see these nice things we do for ourselves, like running, working out, makeup. Don't do it for a man. Don't do it, oh my gosh, because I want me to feel, to make, no. But find things that make you happy. Find, even if you don't know them yet, if you don't know your personality because it's been like that for so long, I just hope that you find something. Just find it. I don't know how, because it's your own personal journey, but find it somehow. But the ultimate thing is just to decent them in. Just don't make them the focal point. And I also do recommend feminism. Feminism is nice. I don't need somebody else to dictate how I live my life, or, to make me feel like I'm worthy or not. I hope you found inspiration from this video. I hope that you find some light. And yeah, I hope that I am a YouTuber that you'd like to hear more of, because you will be, whether you like it or not. But I thank you so much for watching this video. This has been very fun to do, and I will be giving you more content as the year goes on. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and click the notification button just to get more videos. I love you. God loves you. How do you? Bye.